So, you're not sure what to bet. Don't worry, I gotcha. Welcome, football fans, gridiron gamblers, and all of my degenerates. It's Mitch here, and it's time to make some money. This is my last minute best bets for Conference Championship Sunday. The AFC and NFC Championship games. We're talking player props, teasers, parlays, win margins, and a lot more. So if you're ready for my last minute best bets, Gronk, spike the like button, show your love, it's free, and don't forget, don't be a jabroni. Subscribe to the channel for Super Bowl best bets and picks. And there's going to be some good content for the Super Bowl. I can promise you that. If you're wondering, Mitch, what are you betting this Sunday? Now, I will be betting some of these picks in this video. But if you want exactly what I'm betting with my real YouTube money, then the place to go is Patreon. $5 a month to support me as a creator, and also to get all of my bets every week of the NFL season. My bets will be revealed tonight. I'm going to post them on Patreon for everybody to check out and hopefully get the best prices and best picks to win money on Sunday. Let's go. Let's take advantage of the final couple weeks of the NFL season. And let's begin with the NFC Championship game. I want to start with a bet that I teased in my best bets video, because in that best bets video, I talked about money lines, spreads, totals, player props. If you haven't checked that video out, go check it out, because I won't be including those picks in this video. But I was kind of talking about the best way to play the winner of the NFC Championship. And what I was teasing is a bet that I made on the previous Rams-Seahawks game that I released to Patreon. And it was a very profitable one. That was the Rams and Seahawks, both teams to win by a win margin of 1 to 6 points. Now, the reason I love this bet is I almost certainly believe this is going to be a close game. The spread is 2.5 points. I actually think the Rams are going to win, which to me means it's going to be an extremely close game. They're on the road in Seattle. The likeliness of the Rams blowing the Seahawks out on the road is rather unlikely. Now, I lean towards the Rams, but I certainly believe this will be close. When looking at the history of these two teams, both games this year have been decided by 6 or less. I want to say even 2 or less, if I'm not mistaken, like less than a field goal, right? Then, if we're dating back to last year when Matthew Stafford played against Seattle, that game was 26-20 in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. So, 3 games where Stafford was involved, where it's been 6 or less, and both games in Seattle. Also on top of that, when Stafford has faced Mike McDonald, 3 of the games have gone to overtime out of 4. So not only is this game expected to be close, but it might even go to overtime. Now, the only way you could get screwed over by overtime is, let's say, if the Rams get the ball first in overtime, they score, they get the extra point, and they're up like 27-20, and then the other team doesn't score. That's where you could get, messed around. But it's a risk I'm willing to take because this game has been decided by less than a field goal twice this year. It's very likely to be decided by a game-winning field goal, a game-winning touchdown where the team goes up by 7, 6, 4, more likely than not. And I'm willing to take the chance it's not 7, okay? There's also really good odds for this. I think you can find the Rams at like plus 350, plus 360. You can find the Seahawks closer to plus 300, maybe a little bit below that. But either way, if you do your math correctly, you can place a bet on both sides of this game to win by a win margin of 1 to 6. And this is what I did previously in their last matchup. And I ended up winning a nice amount of money. So I'll let you do the math for yourself. depending on how much you can bet. But this would be the best way that I would play the game in terms of the way, like the outcome of the game. Because I do like the Rams to win the game, and I will be looking at, teasing them. We'll talk about that. I'll be looking at maybe, possibly a money line type of deal. But I think my favorite, because of the odds, is the Rams by 1-6. But then to cover my butt, I like Seahawks by 1-6 as well. So that's the first bet, and I think that might be the best bet of the video in terms of value that you could get out of this. Based on the history, these teams are going to be very, very competitive. And if you want a full breakdown of the game, check out my preview of the AFC and NFC Championship games. This is not a preview. These are just bets that I'm giving you, all right? I'm not going to go in-depth on the defense and the offense and the special teams and the pass rush and Sam Darnold against Chris Shula. I already did all that stuff, okay? Now, let's talk about some props from the NFC Championship game. I did mention Kyren Williams in my best bets. I want to reiterate this because it's probably my favorite bet in this game as a prop. Kyren Williams rushing yards over. I think it's at like 51 and a half right now. This is a really nice bet to me because of the consistency of Kyren Williams. And I also believe it's a nice bet because of what we saw in terms of the splits between Kyren and Corum in their last playoff game. Kyren had over 20 carries in the last game, right? Against Chicago. And I thought that was interesting because in previous outings, like against Carolina, I actually bet on Corum in that game. And they were splitting series. So one guy would play a series, the next guy would play the other series. The last game, Kyren had a lot of the workload. And I could see how they would do something similar against Seattle, maybe due to pass protection, maybe due to the spotlight and the size of the game and the experience of Kyren Williams. And it's a huge game for them. So I think Kyren is more of the starter and the lead back. So perhaps they do want to kind of lean his way. But when we're looking at Kyren Williams, he has been really, really productive and really, really consistent for this offense. They are the number one rushing offense in success rate this year. So they can run the ball on pretty much everyone. Dotson did not play in the last game against Seattle, and Kyren still went over this total. He had 23 carries for 70 yards. So clearly, even in that game, they gave him a ton of work compared to Corum, 23 carries. Last game, I was alluding to it, 21 attempts for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns against Chicago. In the first game against Seattle, where he did have Dotson on the offensive line, he had 91 yards in 12 attempts. So again, in both games, he's gone over 51 and a half by almost 20 yards in the second game, which was a weaker game for him. And then he went for 90 in the first game. And he's gone over 51 and a half in every single game since the Tampa game. And if you were to remove the Tampa game, he's gone over 51 and a half in every single game except for Baltimore. Every single game except for Baltimore and Tampa this year, he's gone over. So only 2 games in, 18, 19 games, he's gone over 51 and a half rushing yards. So I still think the Rams are going to want to be balanced. They are a very successful, consistent rushing attack. Kyren will be featured. I really love that bet. That might be my favorite prop, is looking at Kyren rushing yards. I've heard, some people really like the Darnold attempts, and so I wanted to look into that myself. I'm not going to take all the credit because I didn't really think of this, but Sam Darnold has gone over pass attempts against this team twice, and it's because of the way the game script is unfolded for these games. So the Rams have been in front 16 points in game 2 in the fourth quarter. They were up 14-3 early against Seattle in the first game, in no small part because of Sam Darnold mistakes. And Darnold has ended up with 34 and 44 passing attempts in the previous 2 games. Now, I don't think Seattle really wants to throw the ball a ton in this game if they can help it. But if the game goes the similar direction, or even in a direction where the Rams are putting up points, I think you could see Sam Darnold going over 30 and a half. So it's, based on the previous 2 games, based on the game flow that is going to happen, and based on the fact that Kenneth Walker is their only real running back that they trust, there could be more of a lean into passing the ball with Sam Darnold. So passing attempts for Darnold is interesting. I do like Kenneth Walker over receiving yards because his 2 biggest games as a receiver came against the Rams. And he cleared 23.5 significantly in both games. He's also going to be playing on third downs. He's going to be playing as passing downs a lot more in this game than he would with Zach Charbonnet also available. But another one of my favorite kind of prop bets is neither team to score 25 plus points at plus 150. If you like the under in this game, which a lot of people seem to be betting the under in this game, I think it's sitting at like 46 and a half. If one of these teams goes over 25, that number is going over. So the way I'm looking at it is, if you like the under, or if you lean the under in this game, if you think this is going to be a higher scoring game, then ignore what I'm saying. But if you kind of want to bet the under, right? The under right now is 46. If you like the under, I would rather bet this bet. Neither team to go over 25. Because I think both teams are going to, it's going to be a one-score game, as I've alluded to. Both teams are probably going to score 20. But will they score 27? That's kind of the question, right? So to me, it's like, I could see 24-20. I could see 23-20. I could see 24-21. But 25 is that push, right? Like 25 would mean 27-20, 27-23, 27-24, 27-21. Doing the math, like 27-20, right? That would go over the total. So if you think that either of these teams, or like if you like the under, I would rather just take neither team to score 25 because it's unlikely that a team scores 25 or 26 and the game goes under. And 25 or 26 is just a weird number. You know, like 26 is possible due to field goals, but it's like, it's not very likely. You know what I'm saying? So I would rather take plus 150 with that bet rather than minus 110 on under 46. And I do think it's fairly likely that this game is like 24-20, 23-20, closer to the score of the first game. I don't think it's going to be 27-17 and go under 46. I don't see it being a two-score game. I'd be surprised by that. Maybe it could be like 24-17, right? But then again, you still win this bet, right? It still goes under, and you still win your bet, and you get better odds than taking the under. So just throwing that out there. I do like that play. Now, let's talk about the AFC Championship game. I think I've gotten to everything I kind of wanted to talk about in the NFC Championship, and then we'll leave the parlays for the end. So for the AFC Championship game, let's talk about the running back Ramondre Stevenson of the Patriots. I talked about him in my best bets. I love Ramondre Stevenson overs in this game. He has had at least 77 total yards in his past 7 games consecutively. He is the feature back for this Patriots offense, and if you've been watching him, he's looked incredible since the back half of the season. Ramondre, 75-plus rushing receiving yards is minus 115. Stevenson, 50-plus rushing yards is minus 115. Stevenson over 18.5 receiving yards is also his number for receiving yards. I like overs in all of these cases. I think he's going to have more than 75 total yards. He's going to be involved in the screen game, the receiving game, dump-offs. We saw how big he was in the Chargers game. We saw how big he was to close the Texans game. And honestly, he would have had 100 total yards if not for getting his eye poked mid-game. And that caused Travion Henderson to carry the load in the backfield. Also, I just think Denver is overrated from a defensive perspective. I think they're overrated from a run defense perspective. We saw James Cook go over 100 yards rushing against them last week. I think the Patriots have an underrated rushing attack, and I think that will be a way to kind of allow Drake May to settle in. I also believe the Patriots are going to win. I think they're going to have to run the ball late in this game to close it out. They're going to lean on Stevenson. And if you've just been watching the Patriots, like Stevenson versus Henderson, don't get me wrong, I like Henderson's explosion, but the clearly more efficient and consistent running back has been Stevenson. Plus, he's the better pass protector, so he'll be involved more as a receiver. So I really like Stevenson. I like him to score a touchdown. I like him to go over rushing, receiving. I like him to go over rushing. I like him to go over receiving. Any way that you can play Ramondre Stevenson. My favorite would be rushing and receiving combination because I think it's good value. because I think he's going to catch 3 or 4 passes. I think he's going to run 10 to 15 times, and I think he's probably going to score. So, yeah, I love Ramondre, just throwing out all of his different numbers out there. Now, for an anytime touchdown, which I typically don't give out very often, but it's the AFC Championship, let's have some fun. I think Hunter Henry is pretty interesting. The Denver Broncos have been pretty bad against tight ends this year. They're bottom 9 in yards allowed. I believe they've allowed 7 touchdowns on the year. They're like 29th in EPA the back half of the season. So they're one of the worst teams defending tight ends. We saw Dalton Kincaid, Moss Hufanga in the end zone. And I think New England could scheme up some stuff to Henry, who's a great presence in the red zone. Even if it's like the Denver likes to blitz, so like a block and release play action play. Henry's usually available on those plays. It could also be Austin Hooper. Like, that wouldn't be surprising either. But Henry's more of that big-time guy, and I think Henry has the best one-on-one matchup, whether it be with Alex Singleton, Dre Greenlaw, or Hufanga. I think he can take advantage of any of those matchups. I also think, it's less likely to be Diggs because he's probably going to be shadowed by Surtain in the red zone, that sort of deal. So I think Henry first touchdown or anytime touchdown would be my favorite bet in the AFC Championship from a touchdown perspective. Like I said, I love Stevenson as well. But I also really like Drake May passing yards. Now, I do like him to go over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think I talked about that in my best bets video. But in terms of yards, I think this is a really nice bet. At 250 plus yards, you can find it at somewhere between plus 180 to plus 160. His over-under is 224.5 at minus 115. Or 115 is what I saw. I saw previously it was 222, but I think it's bumped up a little bit. Now, take it this way. Drake May, obviously one of the best passers in football, one of the MVPs of football. They're going to rely on him to throw the football, of course. And it's not going to be snowing. It will be cold. But I think Drake's going to have his best game as a passer in this game against this defense, because I think that it's a defense that likes to play man and likes to be aggressive. And I think there's going to be big explosives to be had against Denver. But you look at how Denver's performed against quality quarterbacks. 5 out of their last 8 opponents went over 250 passing yards. 5 of their last 8. Now, when you actually look at who didn't, that's what tells the story. Trey Lance with the backup Chargers, the Raiders, I think it was Geno Smith, and Mahomes' third string, Aluakon, whatever his name is. Everyone else went over 270. So not just 250, not just 224, but 270. All of the quarterbacks, all 5. Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, all the guys that went over big. So Drake May, 250 plus passing yards, plus 160, plus 180, whatever it is for you. I really like that given what you look at here. I mean, it's backup quarterback or it's the Raiders who haven't been able to go over against Denver. So Denver's a little overrated on defense. This is kind of continuing to be a theme for me, which is also why I like the Patriots to win this game and I like the Patriots to cover. Because I think their defense is just a little overrated. They have a good pass rush, but I think you can get them in the quick game. I think you can get them with explosives, and I think you can run the ball better on them than people expect. Now, from a Denver perspective, their team total being plus 110 at under 17.5, I actually kind of like this. I don't think Denver is going to score more than 17. They could score 20, maybe 21, maybe, but I would expect 17 to be around the number that they score, 16, 17. And to get it at plus 110, under 17.5 as a team total, you could also take under 18.5 at plus 105, under 19.5 at minus 105 if you want to feel more comfortable with a couple extra points. But 17.5 under is not a bad play. Just going to throw that out there. I do think New England is going to win something like 27-17. It's kind of like my projected score. I think they'll win by double digits, somewhere in that range. I think they're going to score between 23 and 30 points. Maybe 31 at the most. I think they're going to be in that range of points. And I think that Denver is going to struggle to just find balance within their offense. New England is so good at stopping the run that it's going to force their backup quarterback to have to drop back and throw way too often. And New England They can stick you in man. They can play zone. They're going to throw a million different blitzes at you. And I think Stidham is a guy that hasn't seen action in 3 years. Quarterbacks since 2000 that haven't played in, the entire season until the playoffs are 0-3 for a reason. Like, these guys can't really, after they get past the scripted plays, it's not going to be enough offensively, I don't think. And I don't look at Denver as a great offense in general. They struggle to run the ball. Their tight ends aren't that effective. Their receivers are kind of average. Sean Payton's a good play caller, but this Patriots defense is legitimate. And to finish this off, let's talk about parlays, okay? If you guys haven't already, Gronk spiked the like button. Some parlays that I like. First of all, we talked about the Rams winning by 1 to 6 points. You can actually parlay this with the Patriots. So I actually think the Patriots, you could play it rather on the spread, -3.5, or you could play the double result game, which we like to do, especially with the Patriots, who are number 1 in first half scoring this year. I think they average around 16 to 17 points per first half, and I just alluded to the fact that I don't think Denver is going to score 17 in the entire game. So, or more than 17 in the entire game. So if New England gets out to there, even if they score 14 in the first half, I think they're going to be winning the first half. And I think it's really important for New England because the crowd's going to be important for Denver. The lead, the game script, the game flow, having Jarrett Stidham playing from behind, right? I think New England's going to be very aggressive on offense early, and that could also lead to fourth down decisions, all that sort of stuff. Denver is 16th with Bo Nix in first half scoring, so their average New England is elite. So I like New England double result at +120, and you can parlay that with Rams to win by 1 to 6 points for a long shot bet of +900 or more or better. To, put $100 on it, you could win $1,000, that type of deal. A long shot parlay with the Patriots and the Rams, because those are the two teams that I like to win on Sunday. You could also do Patriots -3.5 to not have the pressure of them leading at halftime, and the Rams winning by 1 to 6. That would be +740. So either way you want to go, I think both are pretty solid looks. And then we got to bring some extra points to the table. Borregales to go over 2.5 extra points. I really like that at even money, +100. I think New England, like I said, I think they're going to score 24 through 31 points. I think they're going to put up close to what Buffalo was able to do. And I think 3 touchdowns will come as a result. So I think, Borregales over 2.5 extra points, +100. Mevis for the Rams is also +120. If you want to parlay those both, it's +340. Not bad in my opinion. I think the Rams are probably going to score. The trickiness will be, do they score 20, 23, or do they score 27 or 28? I like Borregales a lot more, but I did want to throw Mevis' number out there for you guys. Okay, I think that's everything. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Those were my last minute best bets. I will be releasing my real bets, all the bets that I'm actually making on Patreon, and they'll include many of these. And I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like I have a good feel for this weekend. I've heard all the Jarrett Stidham hype. I hope those people are wrong. And I'm hoping that, I'm right about this Rams-Seahawks game. Although, like I said, I could see it going either way in a close one. Thanks for watching. Gronk spike the like button. Subscribe. We'll see you later. Peace. Good luck, guys.